Welcome to the Marley Bird YouTube channel, brought to you by Red Heart Yarns. In this video, I will show you how to make the smile emoji keychain. This is a great first project, and I'll go nice and slow so that you don't miss a beat. Go ahead and get that free pattern from redheart.com. I've put a link to it right down there in the video description box below. And while you're down there, smash that like button and don't forget to hit subscribe to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. Once you have your pattern, gather your materials and we can jump in. For this project, we begin with a slip knot. So grab the color you will use for the body of your emoji. Put the tail of the yarn in the palm of your hand. Take your working yarn, wrap it around your forefinger and middle finger, and when you come back up, cross over. Now rotate that hand you wrapped the fingers on, and then go underneath that first loop and grab that back loop or the second one. Okay, so under the first, grab the second and pull it off of your fingers. As you pull the tail, you'll see that you now have a slip knot that we will place directly onto our hook. Spread those tails apart and it tightens that right up to the hook. Now we want to go ahead and chain 2 stitches. To chain, you will take your hook, wrap it around your working yarn, just like so. And then now we want to bring this working yarn through this loop on our hook. So we will grab it. You'll notice I'm holding on to the loop on my hook so it doesn't go anywhere. And I will pull that string right through the loop on my hook. I then will place the new loop on my hook a little bit up onto the throat of the hook, and I will do it again. Yarn over my hook. I'm going to adjust my fingers so that I'm holding the new loop so it doesn't go anywhere, and then pull this yarn over through the loop on my hook. So now I've created 2 chains. Can you see those 2 chains? We now want to place 6 single crochet into the second chain. You never count the loop on your hook, so this loop doesn't count. So this is 1 chain and this is the second chain. And we want to put 6 single crochet in there. So we take our hook, go into that chain, and I like to go into the chain to where I see 2 loops on top, okay? As I go into the chain, you see that? I'm going to hold that slip knot so it doesn't go anywhere. I now will yarn over my hook, and just like before when we pulled that yarn over through the loop on our hook, we're going to pull that yarn over through that chain. So I pull it through the chain and up, okay? Now I'm not letting go of that slip knot yet, okay? So I'm still holding on to it, but see how I have 2 loops on my hook? I now will yarn over and draw through both of those loops on my hook. That is a single crochet, okay? I'm going to pause here for a second. I will grab this stitch marker, and if you look at the back of the loop you just created, so we have the loop on our hook. Let me grab something to point with. We have the loop on our hook, and then we have this V-looking thing right here that we just created. I want to take my stitch marker and I will place it through that V. And what that's going to do, it will let you know that that's the end of the round when we come back to that stitch, okay? So that's our first stitch completed. Now I still have my slip knot there, you see it? And here is the space I put the first stitch right there. I want to place 5 more single crochets in that same stitch. So I have a loop on my hook. I will go into that same chain, that same stitch, yarn over, pull that yarn over through that stitch. Okay, so now I have 2 loops on my hook. I will yarn over, draw through both loops on my hook. I'm going to do that again. That space right there, that's where we're going. We're going to go in, yarn over our hook, come out, have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, draw through 2. As you start filling up this space, you're going to notice that we're kind of running out, but here's what's going to happen. We are going to continue to add our single crochets, but we will begin to kind of work around that circle, okay? So before I was holding it like this, I'm just going to kind of rotate it a little bit. I'm still into that same space. I'm going to go into that stitch, that chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. So that was 4. Go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. That's 5. I'm rotating my work again. Okay, can you see that? And I've got to do one more. So I go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. So now I have 6 single crochets completed. And if you need to count, look for the V's on top of the stitches that we just created. We put a stitch marker in the first one, so we know that's our first one. So there's 1, here's another V, there's 2, here's a V, there's 3, here's a V, there's 4, there's a V, there's 5, there is a V right there, that's 6. Remember, you never count the loop on your hook. So those are my 6 single crochets. Now, what I'm going to do is into this first single crochet we created, we will begin to build the next round. We create this keychain by working spirals. So what I will do is I will go ahead and take this marker out because I know where that stitch is, so I don't need that marker in there right now. So I will take it out. I will now go into this stitch. Okay, I'm going to go through both of these loops. See how that's the V that I had the marker in? I want to put my hook through that V. Okay, see how it's through both loops? This is the front loop. This is the back loop. I want my hook through both of them. I am going to put 2 single crochets into each single crochet all the way around. So in this first one, we have to put 2. So we're going to start off with 1. So my hook is in there. Notice I'm holding all of my work with my hand. I'm just holding onto it so it doesn't go anywhere. And I've really isolated all of these stitches that I have going on. This is the loop on my hook. This is the stitch I'm working into. Yarn over my hook, pull through the stitch and up. Now I have 2 loops on my hook. I yarn over, draw through 2. So I just did a single crochet just like before, okay? And we want to remember that the single crochet we just completed is the start of our round. So we will take our marker and we will place it in that V of the stitch just like we did before. See how it's right behind the loop on my hook. I'm going to place my marker there. Now when we come back around, we will know that when we're to that marker, that's the first stitch. Now remember, I want to put 2 single crochets into each stitch. So I just put 1 into that one, so I need to do another one. So I go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Now I go to the next stitch over. You can see it's right there. Again, I'm holding all of my work just like so. I will go into both of those loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Do that again. And we've just created 2 stitches into 1. I'm going to do this in each stitch all the way over to where my marker is. When you finish that last stitch with the 2 in single crochets in it and you're back to where your marker is, fantastic. We need to do another round, and this time we will do 1 single crochet in one stitch and then 2 single crochets in the next, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 2 single crochets in the next. So we start off here with the stitch that we have marked. So I can go ahead and let's take that marker out because we're going to move it up as we work along. So take it out. I'm into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, pause, take that marker, put it back into the stitch I just completed. So I know that's the end of my round. Okay, so there was 1 single crochet. In the next stitch, I'm going to place 2. So just like before, I go through both of the loops and I complete 1 single crochet and then another single crochet all in that same stitch. Now I'll do 1 single crochet in the next, and then I'll do 2 single crochets in the following one. And I will repeat this all the way around this round. When you come to your marker, you're at the end of that round. Pretty easy so far, right? There's only one more round, and this time we will do 2 single crochets in between each stitch that we place 2 single crochets into. Let me show you what I mean. We're to our marker, so let's go ahead and remove our marker, knowing that's where our first stitch is going to go. So in this first stitch here, I'll start off with my single crochet. And again, I want to make sure I mark it. Now, in the next stitch over, I will also do just 1 single crochet. So there's 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and now in the next stitch, I want to do 2 single crochets into that 1 stitch. So there's 1 and 2. And now we repeat. We'll do 1, 1, and then 2. One into the next stitch, 1 into the following stitch, and then 2 into the next stitch. I repeat this all the way around to my marker. As you create the last 2 single crochets, that's the end of the round, but because we're in a giant spiral, I like to finish off my work by working what's called a slip stitch into that very first stitch. So this is the first stitch of my round that I just took my marker out of. So I like to put my hook into those 2 loops just like before, yarn over, pull up a loop. So this looks like a single crochet, right? It looks like we're getting ready to start. But this time, we're just going to pull that loop we pulled up directly through the loop that's on our hook. See how that kind of finishes off this nice little rounded edge? And once you've done that, you can cut your yarn and make sure you leave a nice length because we will use this tail here to sew up the keychain. So I left quite a bit of tail, and all you need to do is you just pull that stitch all the way up the tail, and it locks it in place, okay? We need to make 1 more of these circles so that way we can join them together. Let's go ahead and create our other one. Once you have both circles complete, it's time to embroider a face on one of the circles because it's easier to do it now before they're seamed together. I always use a bent tip tapestry needle to seam in or to add embroidery. It's really easy to use. And then I will grab a length of yarn that I'm using as my contrasting color. So this one I'm just using black. If you take your yarn and you pinch it around the head of your bent tip tapestry needle and then pull that out, it makes it really easy just to wiggle that yarn right through that eye of the needle and give it a pull. See how easy that is? We will start on the back side. So the side that has the tail coming from the center, that's the side we want to begin with. Okay, so that's where our needle is going to be. And we'll move that out of the way just to make this easier. You need to decide where your placement's going to be. And it's my experience, based on our little example here, if you do them too wide apart, it looks goofy. If you put them more closer to the center, it looks pretty fun. I did this one more like pretty, I want to say like if this is the center and this is the outside, it's right there. So it's like in a quarter. So if I'm going to do one on this one, I think this one I'm going to do them a little bit closer together. So coming from the back side, I'm just going to pick a point and come up. Okay. And I'm going to pull my thread through, leaving at least I have a little bit of a tail going on back there. That's probably 4 to 6 inches. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up from that point where I went in close to the center and then go back down towards the back. Okay, let's see. Do I like that placement? I think that's pretty cool. I actually like the idea of doing these eyes like vertically. These ones I did horizontally. So I'm going to make this one vertically. So I come back in where I did before, and I'm just going to do a couple of repeats here. I'm just coming in and back out. Pretty simple stuff, not too in depth or anything here. So there's twice. I'm going to do it one more time. And typically when you're doing any sort of embroidery, you would cut your yarn at this point and then rejoin for over here. But because we're making a simple little keychain, I'm just going to leave my yarn attached, jump over here to this side and make another eye. I'm not going to do anything big about it. And I'm just going to try and make them roughly the same size. All right, so there we go. I have the eyes of my smiley face. And now I need to make a smile. If you make your smile too low, again, it looks funny. So I kind of did mine, not on the final row, but not on the second row. It's like right between those two rows. So I'm going to just put, I think I want my smile right there. So I'm going to start here and come back down. Again, you can play around with this. So I'm coming from the back. Let's start it over here. Should we start over there? Yeah, why not? I'm going to come up, maybe. Let's try that one more time. I didn't grab my needle. So I'm going to come up. If you want to rethread, you can. I'm just using the same yarn. And then I'm going to kind of just play around with my direction. So I'm going to have it come down a little bit. See, so that's going to be the start of mine. And then I think I want it to start to come around this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm popping on the back. I'm coming over where I think I want it to come out. Not there. I don't like it there. Again, this is just some playing around. So I'm going to have it come over where I want it to come out. Okay. And I'm going to come back over here where I went in before. I'm going to pop that back down. You see that? So then I'm on the back again. I'm going to come up where I want it to pop out. Come back where I went in. And again, I'm just stitching. Now, I don't know if I really like that placement. I kind of do. And then one more. I'm going to put it right here and see what this looks like. The good news is this is really easy to undo if I wanted to. Now, I am not really sold that that one there is good. I think it's too high. So what I will do now is I will just take my needle, so I unthreaded it, and I'm just pulling it out. See? So I could redo this. And right there, this is the part where I didn't like it. So I'm going to come over, pull it out the back, and now I just rethread and finish off my smile. There we go. I like that one better. So there's my smiley face. Pretty simple, right? The good news is we don't need to really tuck in a bunch of these ends because we could actually just use our tail here and smush it in and use that as our stuffing. That's actually what I'm gonna do. Why buy something else when I've already got string here I can tuck in? But before I do that, I do want my center tail to be tucked in a little bit more just to close that hole. So I grabbed the center string. This was our beginning slip knot. And I'm just threading it onto here. And you see how I have that opening? You see where my finger's coming through that opening? I'm just going to try and close it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to thread this around that opening just to close it up ever so slightly. I think it looks a little bit better. See, pretty simple, okay? Now what I can do with all these tails, instead of weaving them in like I would with a normal project, I can just tuck them in there and I can use that as stuffing. So what I would do now is I will take the top part of my smiley face. I want to close that center there, so I'm going to go ahead and do that with my bent tip tapestry needle, thread it on. We will close this up just by threading the yarn around those stitches. It will close it up. You don't have to do this step, but I thought it looked just a little bit better just closing up that center. So I am doing that. Once your center is closed, I don't have to tie it, or I don't have to weave that in anymore, right? So I'm just going to tuck it in. I'm going to match up my two circles. Okay, match up my two circles. And I'm going to take my tail from when I finished off the first circle, thread it on, and here we go. You ready? We are going to do what's called a whip stitch. I'm just meeting up the edge of my circles here, and I liked to go through, remember I said we had two loops, so if I went into a piece like that, see how it has the front loop and the back loop on my little needle there? What I'm going to do is I'm going to just go into the back loop of this one and then go into the back loop of that one. If I was facing this way, can you see that? And then just whip them together. Then I'll go to the next stitch and go to the back of both of those. If you wanted to go through both legs of the stitch, you absolutely could. It's totally up to you. I just thought it looked pretty good when we did it like this. And we're just going to whip stitch all the way around. Make sure that your tails are nice and tucked in. Yes, if you wanted to use stuffing instead of your tails, you absolutely could do that. But sometimes you just don't have some stuffing lying around and you use what you have handy. This is a great use for all of those scraps. When you get back to the beginning, we can go ahead and make sure everything is nice and pulled tight. So make sure everything's nice and seamed in, really quaint like. Looks pretty good. Oh my gosh, look how adorable that is. All right, so what I want to do here is I want to secure this tail. So I am going to just weave it through some of my stitches here so that way it doesn't come undone. Weave it back and forth. You have this big center section here. Don't be afraid just to stick your yarn through it just to make sure everything is good to go. It's really not that hard to do, just to make sure you have a nice secure piece going on here. And once you feel like you've woven it in enough, I just did it through the center several times, why not? You can give it a snip and take a look at your cute little keychain. This one here, I did not add anything on the inside, no stuffing. This one here has stuffing. You can see the difference between the two. I actually made this one a little bit tighter as well. So there's lots of ways you can really customize these things. In order to add the keychain portion, this is really simple. So let's go ahead and learn how to do this. You need a split ring and a jump ring. The jump ring is totally up to you as far as how big or how small you want it. I just grabbed one that was smaller than my split ring. And a split ring, that's your keychain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my jump ring. And I'm grabbing some pliers here. And when I split my jump ring, I'm going to twist it like this. So I'm just going to twist it up to open it up. And I'm going to place my split ring on the jump ring and then take my smiley face at a point in the part where like it's maybe near the top. You see I just threaded it through there, pretty simple. And then close it up just like so. And you have yourself a cute little keychain. No matter what size you make, these things are super adorable and they're sure to be a hit. You can put them on your keychain, you can add them to your backpack. Sky's the limit on where you want to use these cute little things to decorate. I'm Marley Bird, proud national spokesperson for Red Heart Yarns. Bye. Hey, thanks for joining me today on the channel. If you want more videos just like that one, check out some of these other videos that I've already handpicked for you. And don't forget to hit subscribe so that way you're up to date whenever I release a new video. And don't forget, smash that like button, as my kids say. Bye guys.